I went to Paris, people here seem to be more passionate about expressing very fundamental beliefs via the theatre. Barrault, a French, the physical actor, embraces totally and wholeheartedly the limits of where an actor can go. We see a glimpse of his power in Les Enfants du Paradis, where he does a pantomime. And when you look at it the first time, it's just complete magic, because it makes the audience's imagination work. And he was this kind of Pierrot, sad figure, and he watches what goes on in the crowd, and the man had his wallet stolen by another man. But the man, seeing a woman next to him, accuses her. So then he tells the audience, I will show you how it is done. And then he describes the man. So he said, here's the man. And I only vaguely remember. He's here with the moustache and big gut and the watch. And he's drawing, he's painting for us. And he's becoming an artist, actually using us, using our minds as a canvas. So you have this man here with his watch, and he's here, happy. And you saw this kind of very seedy man looking and coming round and stealing it. He was able, through this technique, to express this whole story. Well, you say that's a pantomime, that's the art of the pantomime. But it seemed to go further. That scene seemed to kind of make a huge impact on anyone who's seen the film. What I found about Mime and coming to Paris was that extraordinary excitement of finding different things you could do with your body, and different ways, and different language, different structures, and different kind of forms, which you could express through the kind of the mechanics of the body. So you start with the very simplest exercise. Taking the stick as the basis, we do say this is our first term for the kids, you know, we're just toddlers in the class. So taking the idea of the stick, we then would have to use it. So we had the stick, and then what could the stick be? So you work on it as a process of free association. So the stick might be a sword, but as you're using it as a sword, it could also be a billiard cue. So trying to exercise your mind, if it's a billiard cue, it might then turn into a bow and arrow. And if it's a bow and arrow, you must take the gesture of the bow and arrow, not change it, but it could be an alternative one. So it's not only the bow and arrow, it could be somebody either waving, and if it's somebody waving, and then it could be perhaps a bird, and if it's a bird, it could be a butterfly, and if it's a butterfly, it could be also you're kind of making a cake, and as you're doing this, you're trying to, at the same time, think in terms of body association, and as you're doing this, and you don't know what to do, then that becomes the ball, and as it becomes the ball, you have to think it becomes something else. It may become a motorbike. As it becomes a motorbike, it becomes your rowing. So that's the kind of very simple exercise that we did. So when I started, because I had done a course in Paris, I was able to create Metamorphosis by Kafka, about a man turning into an insect.
As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from a night of uneasy dreams,
he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect.
I could not have even begun to approach the idea of adapting Kafka unless I had gone through this way of thinking. So it starts with the metronome, tick, 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 and we see the mother and father at breakfast just ticking away. The metronome's going like this, and you see, and they're just taking this thing and eating and wondering what's going on.
Oh dear, perhaps the alarm clock's not gone off.
Did you set it?
Set it, yes. I set it for 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
I set it properly.
So they became like, in a way, mechanical dolls, eating away. Now, why I want to make it mechanical is that when the beetle wakes up, he also is, in a sense, mechanical. And I use this idea of mechanistic, robotic theatre because by changing the rhythm of what we see naturalistically, we make people relook at people. Most interestingly, the way we see how it's influenced the world in terms of its fascination for younger people. All sorts of exercises have somehow got into the street. And so we see it in this place called the Centre Pompidou, where all these little children of these mime schools are all busy doing their thing. And then these, in turn, have spread around Europe. And then suddenly we see in New York breakdance. And breakdance, they use mime and breakdance into, eventually, the moon dance of Michael Jackson, who's walking backwards. All these ideas, all this break, this kind of mime, the rap came from and originated from the experiments of Jean-Louis Barrault on a hot summer in a little atelier in Paris.